So it is finally done. After what feels like years of suspensions and holdouts, the Miami Heat have finally traded Jimmy Butler. With how the front office has been and all the reports that have been coming out recently, it felt like to me and other Heat fans that our trade deadline acquisition was gonna be just Jimmy Butler coming back to the team. But no, as the Heat are playing a game right now, Pat Riley actually woke up from his nap and decided to make a move. It's insane. But let's quickly get into the trade details because there's a lot to unpack here. Like, this trade has been developing as I've been trying to record this video. So the details of this trade have been really all over the place. Like, at first it started off as just a 3-team trade, then we had a 5-team trade, and now we're back down to a 4-team trade. But let's get into the grocery list of details and players and picks and all that stuff that's come with this. So the Warriors got Jimmy Butler, the Heat got Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, PJ Tucker, and a 2025 top 10 protected first-round pick. The Pistons got Lindy Waters, Josh Richardson, and a second-round pick, and the Jazz got Dennis Schroeder and a 2032 second-round pick. And even though Jimmy said just a couple days ago that he wasn't going to re-sign with the Warriors if he got traded there, Shams just reported that he signed a 2-year, $121 million extension with the Warriors through 2027. Which means that the Warriors are going to be paying this guy over $60 million when he's 37 years old. Now for the Warriors, I think this trade is good for them. You know, Jimmy Butler, I think, is still a quality starting player. He adds a good amount of scoring and defense, and he's another primary ball handler that you can have so that Stephen Curry doesn't have to take all the offense and have to carry it all by himself. But I'm not really sure if just Jimmy Butler is what they need right now. You know, they started off really hot at the beginning of the year, and I think a lot of that had to do with overperformance and playing an overall weak schedule. So now their flaws as the season has gone on have come out a lot more. So I don't think Jimmy Butler is going to really patch a hole in that sinking ship right now. I know over the last couple of days there have been some rumors about them getting Kevin Durant, but those got shut down today after Kevin Durant said he didn't want to go back to Golden State. So they must have been able to shift their focus back onto Jimmy and find a way to convince him to sign an extension, because like I said, a couple days ago, he was telling the Warriors that he wasn't going to sign an extension with them if he got traded, but I guess they found a way to change his mind. So it'll be interesting to see how all that plays out and how he'll fit in with their team and the scheme and everything, and it'll be really interesting to see how he and Draymond Green end up playing together. But I don't think that's really going to boost them to be this championship contending team. I don't even think it's going to push them out of the play-in, honestly. Like, I don't mean this to be just a diss on Jimmy or me just constantly bashing him, but we've seen in the last couple of years that he is a good regular season player, but he's not going to be the guy that's going to get you, like, a crazy amount of wins in the regular season. And he's not just this piece that's going to fix all of the problems on Golden State. Like, there's still a whole lot of problems with that team that Jimmy Butler is not going to solely fix. But on Miami's end, I think this was a pretty solid trade. I mean, you take a guy who probably wasn't going to play for the rest of the year and was going to create more problems going into the next year if he accepted his player option. You turn that into Andrew Wiggins, PJ Tucker, which is just kind of funny. Like, I don't think he's really going to impact much of anything at this point. And a protected first-round pick, like, that could be maybe okay in the future. But I think that's still a pretty solid haul for what was going to end up being nothing. I know there were some Heat fans out there that thought we could have got more, or they were wanting them to try to play for Kevin Durant, but let's be honest, with this front office and Pat Riley especially, we weren't going to land Kevin Durant. We weren't going to get anything better than this. This is the best thing that we were going to get, so I'm just going to be okay with this for right now. I can't forget to give a shout out to Heat legend Josh Richardson for being the piece that got us Jimmy Butler, and then 6 years later being packaged with them to get us Andrew Wiggins. It just seems like that dude just exists to be traded at this point in Miami, and I fully respect him for that. You know, he's got us a lot of good stuff. Obviously, the best piece from this entire haul was Andrew Wiggins. I'm really interested to see how he can fit with Miami. I'm really excited to see how he can be because, you know, he's having a pretty solid year this year, and he's got a couple of years left on his contract. You know, he's a guy that I've wanted on Miami for a little bit now, and like I said, I'm pretty excited to see what he can do in South Beach. Now, the other stuff without really any context, like, it just looks so-so. Like, PJ Tucker, don't get me wrong, I love him. I loved him back on the 2022 team. I think he was a great 3-and-D guy, but He's really fallen off a cliff since leaving Miami, and he's pushing 40 years old at this point. I really don't think he's going to do much in terms of actually being on the court, but it is just kind of fun to have him back, and he's an expiring contract anyway, so I'm not really too worried about it. The first round pick is for 2025 as a top 10 protected pick. It could be okay if the Warriors end up making a push and get to the playoffs, or they miss and still finish outside the top 10 for the draft lottery, so not too bad. And Kyle Anderson, I don't think he's going to stay on the team. He originally was sent to the Raptors as part of a 5-team trade. Then complications got him sent back. But I think that, he probably will get sent out tomorrow, or if he does stay with Miami, he's not going to play a whole lot. Maybe a little bit in there for just some defensive minutes, but I don't think he's going to be anything major. I think with a trade like this, the idea was to get something of value back, but it was more about just getting Jimmy Butler out of Miami, ending this whole charade that's been going on over the last couple of months now, and moving on and finally just getting back to focusing on basketball and not this off-court stuff. These last couple of months or so have just been very frustrating as a Heat fan because it seemed like nonstop we would get rumors about how Jimmy Butler wants to trade. Oh, no, he doesn't. Now he wants to go to these teams. Now he wants to go anywhere, but he now wants to shut all these options down. Now he just wants to go to Phoenix. And now we finally get something done to put this whole saga to rest, man. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to get back to focusing on basketball and hopefully seeing a good basketball team out there. But don't get it twisted. There really are no heroes in this story over the last couple months because Jimmy Butler, I was on his side. I'm still mostly on his side over the last couple months, even leading up to right now. I'm still mostly on his side because I understand why he wanted out. It was just the way that he was trying to politic and shut down trades and force his way onto one team when he said before that he wanted to go anywhere but Miami. And it just led to so much stuff coming from his camp that it just became exhausting. But I do understand why he wanted out to begin with, because the bigger villain in this whole situation, no matter what they try to tell you right now, the big villain is Pat Riley, because this dude, over the last couple of years and throughout Jimmy Butler's tenure here in Miami, made very little efforts to actually get him good help besides Bam and sometimes Tyler Hero. Miami was always in conversations with these star players and acquiring star players, and it seemed like they could get them. They had chances to get real help for Jimmy, and it never panned out. It never worked out, and Pat Riley was a huge part of that. The roster construction was always just built to be made for the grind. You're always going uphill, you're always the underdog, and you always have to play perfect to get to that championship level that they were expecting, and it was just frustrating as a fan to watch, and I completely understand Jimmy Butler being frustrated by, one, not getting any help, and two, not getting paid for carrying the Heat on his back, especially in 2023 in that magical finals run. So I'm not really eager to give Riley a big pat on the back for fixing a problem that he directly created. And I'll talk about this more in my big Jimmy Butler retrospective that I'm working on right now, but it does suck to see another franchise legend get forced out because of Pat playing hardball and trying to impose his power and all that stuff on. Jimmy Butler is one of the greatest players to ever put on a Miami Heat jersey. His jersey should be retired one day, and it sucks to see such a great era of Heat basketball end on such a sour note. Like I said, I hate to see him go, but it just was something that needed to be done at this point because it was just too big of a distraction, and nothing was really going to get resolved until he was gone. But despite how it ended, I will always be thankful for Jimmy Butler coming to Miami, digging us out of this mediocrity that we had found ourselves in over the last couple of years and bringing us to 2 NBA Finals, even though we were never able to get the job done. It was still a great time to be a fan, mostly because of Jimmy Butler. That's who I'm going to be thanking for this, not Pat Riley, not anybody else. Jimmy Butler is the one I'll be thanking for this great time of Heat basketball. So Jimmy Butler, from me and all the other Heat fans out there, I just want to say thank you, man. You are a franchise legend. I know you're not going to hear this, but it was a great time. It was great to have you on our team, and I hope to see you maybe win a ring one day. Probably not in Golden State, but maybe somewhere. But anyways, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what y'all think about this trade and anything else that's going on in the trade deadline. Let me know if y'all think anything else crazy is going to go on, because I'd love to hear what y'all think. But that's going to do it for this video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch y'all later.